What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be taking a new look at an old classic. Today we're going to be revisiting the Glock 19. Now the Glock 19 is the highest selling pistol of all time. It's one of the most trusted, it's one of the most carried, and it's certainly one of the most used in military and law enforcement even today. Has a amazing track record, arguably better than most handguns that exist in the world, but it hasn't been updated in a long time. So today we're going to revisit this gun in its stock configuration and talk about some of the pros of the Glock, talk about some of the cons of the Glock, and then maybe talk about what's riding on top of it as well. So this is the RMR HD2, the newest version of the Trijicon RMR. Sort of a mix between an SRO and an RMR. If they got together in a back room and had a baby, you might get this guy. It has the pros of the RMR, where it's very, very durable. It has the pros of the SRO, where it has the bigger windows, you can see right there, and it also happens to have a top-loading battery. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We're going to shoot this gun today, and the next time you see this combination, it will not be so nice. We're going to shoot a couple hundred rounds through it today, get a standard first shots video out, talk about the pros and cons of the ergonomics, reliability, accuracy, as I see it today versus the VP9, PDP, lots of guns that are, you could argue, Glock clones. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to durability test this, and a couple weeks after that, we'll give you a full and detailed review. Before we do that though, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you guys that we exist on YouTube at all. We appreciate your support, and if you want to support this channel, all you got to do is go to the link in the description and sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help, so please go down there, click the donate page, and donate to those kids. All right, now the Glock 19 has a 15 round magazine capacity, but it does accept the bigger ones, which is real nice, very modular. The slide, easy to rack. Has a pretty decent recoil spring in it, a dual captured recoil spring that allows less recoil than some guns. Pretty large trigger guard as well, so you can put gloved hands in it if you want to, so it's nice for winter conditions in most cases. However, there are guns with bigger trigger guards. Now you can see here, this is the RMR Type 2 or the Type 2 HD, the brand new one, and we do have a much bigger window on that guy than we did on the previous RMR, which is nice. Still the dummy proof buttons on either side, so you can run them at night. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to shoot this 75 yards. My buddy Nick and I, PewView on Instagram, we shot this the other day with Twist to the Wrapper, and I think we have this zeroed enough to hit at this distance. We do. We're going to turn up our dot a little bit. It's nice and cloudy today. Okay, maybe we... I gotta get my Glock trigger pull down again. I've been spoiled for the past like 2 years on either custom triggers, which I generally swap triggers out of my Glocks, or I use CZs, which have great triggers out of the box, or use PDPs, VP9s, or 2011s, 1911s. Those are generally my favorite guns, and on this, Glock trigger is a Glock trigger. But once we get used to it, it's not so bad. That's the thing with, people would argue heavy triggers suck, and it's just, it depends on what you're used to. Because if you get used to a heavy trigger, I bet throughout the course of this video, we'll start getting better and better accuracy. It's just, what do you shoot more often? See what I mean? All right, now most people would argue there's no advantage to a heavy trigger, and I would disagree. First off, your junk would appreciate that if you are carrying appendix, and secondly, if you have hard primers, a heavy trigger generally has a heavier spring, and it generally ignites primers that a light trigger would not. So if you want your gun to function all the time, it is ideal to leave it stock. I only had 2 rounds in that mag.
Oh man. Okay.
Well, those all felt like they were on. Oh, we're going low, I bet. Maybe we're a little off in the zero process because it felt like good trigger pulls, but we'll see. Those feel like they're on. So we are a little off. My first one, my second one, my third one. So we are definitely going to the right. That would explain what's happening because I don't normally gauge to the right. So we definitely were off zero. All right, now don't get me wrong, I love Glocks for their reliability, their history, their usability as well. This is not an unusable gun. This is definitely a gun you could defend yourself with. But the reality is that you do have some ergonomic deficiencies with this by comparison to modern pistols. And just shooting, we shot 1,000 rounds with the Echelon this week. I've had a lot of other guns out this week that are brand new, the PEPs, the 2011s and things like that. And just to be totally honest with you, the bore axis, which I haven't shot a Glock in a while, and when you're shooting, you do have to break over your grip more. But the main thing is just this trigger, especially in this stock Glock, because it's new, it hasn't been broken in yet, and I rarely shoot Glocks that have stock triggers. You can see this thing is super heavy, super spongy, and then what's a real pain in the ass is the reset is way out there. So we definitely have an inferior trigger in this gun by comparison to almost every modern pistol. If you look at M&Ps, the new M&Ps are better, the CZP-10s are better, the Walther PDPs are better, the VP9s are better, the Canics are better, and now the Springfield Echelon is better. And I think after all of these pistols have been released in the last 5 years, Glock is definitely going to have to do something. Because I know that the heavy trigger allows better reliability with military primers, but the reality is a lot of those pistols have achieved that as well with half the trigger pull and half the reset distance. That being said, let's see how it defends some barrels.
Okay.
Oh, we had a Glock failure.
Uh-oh.
Well.
Oh. .95.
Not bad for a starter.
Yep.
Should we do a bill drill?
Yep, might as well.
Say when.
All right, shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
I got him though. Fucking failure again.
It was .5.
Got stuck on the ejector. Just stuck there. Have you ever seen anything like that in your life?
I mean, I don't think I have.
Glock perfection indeed, huh? Perfectly fucked.
Oh my god. Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
I think I shot 7.
I think it was 6. 1.76.
Did he shoot 7 or did he shoot 8? You feel, holy fuck.
Wow.
Let me show you something. Now you can't show this on YouTube, but we're gonna do a supercut. All right, so what's happening here, I'm betting you, is the fact that when they Cerakote these guns, they like to Cerakote the rails too. And as it turns out, when you Cerakote the rails, you actually cause more friction in the gun than you would have otherwise. And I've actually had this problem with SIGs, I've actually had this problem with Glocks, and I've had this problem with M&Ps. FTE looks good, but it takes a couple hundred rounds generally to wear this Cerakote down. And I think what's happening is it's slowing it down just enough, and the Glock recoil spring is notoriously heavy. So if you use these Blazer Brass Federal 115 grain, these Walmart style loads, they're just not heavy enough to actually run the slide when the gun's new.
I feel like we're gonna get serious here.
I don't know if we are, we're just playing around. Got some new ammo in here, we'll try this out. Fucking hot. Say when.
Help!
so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna do 2 on that guy, 2 on that guy, and finish with that hostage. And we'll just see what I can do in that time frame.
All right, shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. .47.
Okay, let's try it again.
Stand by. .75.
Not bad.
You're so fast.
Let's protect some plywood at 75, huh?
Do it.
Fucking ferro barrel. Did you hear that thing?
I heard it.
Oh, that's the worst sound.
Sorry.
It's like you are shooting low and left.
We should make a ringtone with it.
Really? Let's see if we can hit him in the dick at 75, huh?
Give it a shot there, boo-boo.
225 feet. Right in the pecker.
Right in the pecker. Oh, that was so excessive. Oh my God.
Fuck you, fail barrel. Well, I can't do that, but I might be able to do this.
You have
Fucking barrel.
succeeded. Holy shit, it's your eyeballs.
Right, it's weird, right? Well, it's a little dark outside and can't see that much, so I figured I'd take the sunglasses off. So let's talk about the first impressions of a gun I've shot a million times. Not this one, but this is like my 5th or 6th 19. And this is my 3rd, at least, Gen 5 19. Now, I like the Gen 5 ergonomics on the gun because I do like to go front of the gun, as you guys saw a lot. So I do like to go up here. It's very nice because then I can avoid my optic, and I got big old hands, so it's really easy for me to pinch. The Glock serrations work very well. The Glock accessory rail also generally works pretty well, but the reality is it's not a Picatinny rail, so a lot of times you will have issues changing lights from, let's say, an M&P to a Glock because they do have a different system now. Your Surefire X300, stuff like that, come with that mounting system, so you don't have to worry about that. The trigger is my least favorite part about a standard Glock, and that's just the reality. I've never loved them, but if you shoot a couple hundred rounds through them and you don't shoot any other gun, you will certainly get used to it. As you can see there, accuracy kept on a steady uptick after I zeroed the gun. So at the beginning there, we had a little rough patch, but that's okay. The magazine release. I've never liked the magazine release either, but it obviously works, and it's obviously low pro, and you can obviously hit it out of without changing your grip if you have big old hands like me. Which is good. However, I usually use a Hive, and I will be replacing eventually. Black helicopters. Black helicopters are coming. But included magwell and Glocks always work great. However, I generally use a backstrap. Now, the backstraps on this tan Glock 19 were black, so I actually went with no backstrap on. It was weird, right? Because usually they come tan, but this is a Cerakoted gun, not FD from the factory. And I usually use a backstrap, which also affected my accuracy because I usually have more trigger reach here, so I can use the proper portion of my finger, whereas this, I was using more of the crook of my finger because I didn't have it on there. Now, do you get used to that? Yes, you absolutely do. Another downside to the Glock is going to be the iron sights. So let's talk about the, well, they're not iron sights, they're plastic sights. So these are plastic placeholder sights, as I call them, and what I generally do is replace the front sight, and I usually flip the rear sight around, and the reason for that is I'm cheap and I don't want to buy 2 sights, and it's black on the other side, and I don't have that stupid white box that I dislike greatly. I don't like anything on my rear sight because I'm not looking at the fucking rear sight, I'm looking at the front sight. So it is what it is. Now let's go down to the mounting plate, which we will be testing in the durability video. Now, these mounting plates have had some controversy, and the reason for that is because they make them out of relatively cheap metal, and sometimes they fly off, sometimes they bend, and we will be testing that with our durability test later this week. I just wanted to get a couple hundred. We did like 250, what did you say, 300 rounds? We did 300
I think we did almost 300 rounds.
Yep, I wanted to get this thing wore in, and I wanted to get a base reliability, so I have an idea of what it's going to be like when it goes in the mud, sand, down the road. We're going to drag it with the truck and all that fun stuff. Now, the RMR Type 2, or the RMR HD, whatever it's called, the RMR HD 2, very confusing because there's already an RMR Type 2. They could have just called it the Type 3, but whatever works for them. Now, the glass was great. It's easy to see through. This was sent to us by Trijicon, I should mention that. However, that will not affect my review at all, as you guys previously saw in the previous RMR, or in the previous Trijicon video. It's basically an SRO with a included U up here, and the reason for that is to increase durability, because SROs break if you do this. However, the RMR HD2 does not break. So, we're going to be doing a lot worse to that. We're going to be 10-foot drop tests and all that fun stuff. The other good thing about the RMR HD2 is going to be the top
Loading.
Top loading, that's the word I'm looking for. I load a lot of shit, but apparently I can't say the word. The top loading battery, and I like that a lot because you don't have to change your RMR batteries a lot, but I do change mine once a year, and once a year I have to take this fucker off and re-zero it. I don't like that. So now you don't have to do that at all. You can take the battery out. The disadvantage of that on the SRO is that because of the top loading battery, they do push the lens out further. Now this one is not as far as the SRO, and on the SRO that can, like we saw in the M&P video last week, that can cause reliability issues with rounds ejecting out of the chamber, getting stuck on the bottom of the optic just right, and it will get jammed right there, and you have to flick it out with your finger and run the slide. However, with this one, I don't think that'll happen, but I'll have to shoot like 10,000 rounds to let you know. So we'll do a full review on the gun, we'll do a full review on the optic, and we'll also be doing a durability torture test, and it's gonna be no fucking joke. We're gonna be burying this in the ground and all kinds of stuff, freezing it and whatnot. The modern Glocks are better than the old Glocks. However, the old Glocks didn't have quite the competition to compare to. So the old Glocks, like the Gen 3s, Gen 4s, they are great guns, don't get me wrong, and they're especially great by comparison to the competition in their timeline. However, in the modern timeline, where we have PDPs, VP9s, all that fun stuff, Canik in particular, coming out very, very low cost with amazing triggers, very reliable these days. Canik used to have a stigma for reliability back when they were basically sprung for NATO 124 grain. Now they're sprung for the American market, where it's a standard 115 grain, 124, 147, and because of that, they're very reliable, just like a lot of the other guns, the PDPs, M&Ps, and those guns are just catching up over and over and over again on the Glock. Even the 320 eats a good portion of the market share of the Glock these days, and I think it's probably time for them to finally start upgrading. However, their sales are still very high, and I do not see that in the future, because why fix something that isn't broke, I guess. However, we did have some reliability issues with this gun. That is not that uncommon for me with Glock break-in periods, so that seemed to go away after the first 150 rounds or so, and we will see how that compares to other guns and how that compares to Glocks I've had before in the full review. So if you like this video, you'll love the full review, so stay tuned, subscribe for that. Please like as well, and make sure to hit that notification button. Lately, especially, I've been seeing a lot of comments in the comments section about how they're not seeing my videos, they're not getting notified, and people are getting unsubscribed in droves. So especially with what's been going on with YouTube this summer, where they've just decided they don't like any fringe content at all, I would really appreciate it if not only you subscribe, you would hit the notification button and share it to some other gun person that might like this video. That being said, please support your local homeless shelters. Remember to recycle. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll check you later.
Ooh-wee, cowboy, you looking good. You're on.
Okay. This is like the other thing, people don't realize we do all this in one take, and we also do it with half-zeroed guns. You just aim to the right or left.
Yep.